Watch what you say.
Thanks for the warning.
Hello, Linda.
And we are live. So you can
Thank you.
start whenever, Lee.
We can start right now. We have a quorum for Forestation board members. And the first action item,
Oh, dear God.
Honey, your background is, it's scary.
Like it.
A rocking chair to sit in or something?
Yeah. Be at the right level.
Connie didn't know I was coming.
that's pretty impressive.
Got the good doc there too.
This is exciting.
Yeah, I think so.
Clifford, you'd be part of it too.
I don't get a vote.
I'm glad that rule is if a board member misbehaves, the mayor's coming to their house.
No.
Keeping my eye on this one.
Yeah, I do too.
I apologize for whatever I did.
That's right.
Oh, that's okay. I just spill it.
That's some water.
Now that everybody's settled down, we can vote on approving the minutes of the last meeting on March 8th.
Mm.
Did everybody receive a copy of the minutes from Melinda?
I vote we approve.
Okay.
Let's make a motion.
I make a motion we approve.
I had two small comments. One of the heading date for the meeting was shown as February 15th, and actually was March 8th. And there was a comment about we would send a letter to property owners in Bridgepoint and Old Creek Way who took out an oak tree, but subsequently I checked our records and we had actually authorized that removal a couple of years ago. So that might be an addendum that there was no letter to be sent because it actually had been sent and it was an approved action by Forestation board. Any other comments?
Okay, make a motion to approve as you noted.
All in favor? Aye. Okay. Good, thank you. Next item is the mayor's update, and we see him there right with Connie. That's great. So please give your report.
I don't know, I'm surrounded by other people, but anyway,
Spies.
Cliff's standing over here watching me. I just did a periodic tour of the breakers. Have any of you been back there to see what's going on? I mean, the houses are unbelievably big. I mean, enormous is not enough of a word. And in addition to that, they're very close together, you know? And the prices are unbelievable. So, you know, I was told that the Southern Living House was priced at $3-point-something million, like $3.75 million. So step right up. Another place, someone bought 3 lots and put one house on 3 lots. So you ought to go look at it. It's very interesting. I also did a tour today of Hunting Green, and they're not as far along, but they started later. But they have maybe half a dozen basements poured in there, so they're going to be half full by summertime because they got 11 lots in there. So that's very interesting. And we've been working on the budget for the coming year. And it's been a very unusual time, a very unusual year. We got a huge influx of money from the American Rescue Plan Act, ARPA. And we have a number of projects going on, many of them in the parks. One of them near and dear to Linda's heart. It's a place down in Harrods Creek Park where there's a lot of erosion going on, a stream going through, and the Parks Committee decided they wanted to build a bridge in there. And we've had the preliminary work already done, and there will be a beautiful steel bridge put across that ravine in there. And that's just one of many. We've got the playground coming up. That'll be built actually with volunteers. Save us some money. And that'll happen in the coming few months. We also have, through Herb's good graces, already put out for bid for a general contractor to build all of Little Hunting Creek Park. I don't know, the only real connection that the Forestation Board may have with that, I don't know. But I do know that there's a memorial tree that is getting moved. And it was a memorial to the late Prospect police officer Pat Timmons. And that tree was put there in his memory. And we are, as part of this park project, we are expanding the parking lot from where it stops right now a little bit further in. So that's why that tree is getting moved. But it's a very unusual time with this huge influx of federal money and with all these projects coming at us, maybe the wrong way to put it, projects that we like and that we are going to do many of it or much of it in the next 6 months. So I'll stop there.
That's a good report.
It's an exciting time.
And we see that Don Gibson has joined us, and he was the originator of the new bridge project. So that's great. I think that's going to be a tremendous addition.
You might be talking about a different bridge.
Well, I'm talking about one across Putney.
I know, that's a different bridge.
Okay.
What I'm talking about is down in Harrods Creek Park. The one you're talking about, that Don Gibson is the brainchild for. He discovered this somewhere down in Florida. And what it will be is like a boardwalk up over the water, all the way from behind City Hall, all the way up across Putney Pond. Will give pedestrian access from the landings over to the City Hall area and Little Hunting Creek Park. And there again, the ARPA money comes in pretty darn handy.
And Prospect can become a real walking community.
Well, we need to hurry up, Herb, so that you and I can use it.
Okay, the next item is consultant's report on planning and relocating trees, whatever. Andrea, you there?
I'm here.
Please,
Good
go
afternoon.
ahead.
As I mentioned to Lee this morning, the tree planting now has been rescheduled for Friday. As you know, we've been delayed a couple weeks with the extremely wet weather and inaccurate weather forecasts as far as determining weather events. But it looks like Friday's supposed to be right now on target to be a pretty good day. So we've tentatively moved the planning till Friday. Lee, I would suggest before you let the residents know again the change in the date, maybe let me email you tomorrow after we're still pretty sure that the weather's going to be still there. Right now, there's 0% chance of rain and sunny for Friday. So we'll hopefully, I'll email you tomorrow and just verify that, but that's the
That'd be
plan.
fine.
The one thing I wanted to mention that I saw in the minutes from the last meeting, that there was a letter, I guess, recently sent to it says a letter will be sent to the owners at 7204 Fox Harbor Road. If you remember, that was the people that had an ash tree by their mailbox near the street that was leaning over the street and it was partially dead, and I had determined it was a hazard. And that tree's been removed. I don't know if it was removed before or after they may have received the letter, but I thought we talked about that before, but I just wanted to clarify in case that wasn't clear. I'm also very concerned about the tree at 6804 Gunpowder Lane. That was that was the people that had a sweet gum tree that's been dead since last summer. And I think either last week or sometime in the last 10 days, I sent photos and showing that tree had come down in a storm about a week and a half ago. Part of the tree had, and it was littering their yard and part of the street, Gunpowder Court. And what's left of that tree, just for everybody here, is a very hazardous trunk that I am still, it had a trunk and some smaller branches left. And I noticed yesterday it looked like somebody had trimmed the smaller branches, but this dangerous trunk of this tree is still remaining and it really needs to be removed ASAP. It's completely decayed. It's extremely hazardous. It could come down at any time. Every storm we have come in with 60-mile-an-hour winds, I think of that tree. So I would encourage, I assume they've been sent a letter. Is that correctly?
Yes, that's absolutely right. And I circulated also, you had taken photos
Right.
just a few days ago, and I circulated those to the board and to Rick Wilson and the mayor, whatever.
Okay.
I was by that tree yesterday also, and it was still a mess and the trunk was still standing.
Right.
I think they've been getting a lot of
Morning.
attention because I was down there yesterday too. And Rick Wilson's been down there probably yesterday.
Good.
And that's why they cleaned up a lot of the branches that were laying on the yard. But that doesn't cure the stump that you're talking about.
Yeah, trunk. Yeah, the trunk. Let's see. Just two other things I noted, and I don't know if Ron's still on the call or not, but I noticed that the majority of the trees that the city planted that were planted a few years ago along Timber Ridge Drive, from the Kroger fuel station up to River Road, only a couple of those trees have been edged and mulched this spring. I don't know if Greenscapes just has them on their list and hasn't had a chance to do that work, or if for some reason they're not going to be done. But they're still young trees, and since that's one of the entrances to the city, I would think you'd want to continue to maintain those with edging them and mulching them. The tree rings are pretty weedy, and that competes with the roots of these trees. And I also noticed that some of the crabapple trees that are closer to the Kroger fuel station end have suckers, trunk suckers that need to be trimmed off. They're probably 2 feet tall around the trunks of the trees. So I just wanted to make that note. I'm hoping that's on the list to be done. I've also, and this is another thing I've mentioned to Ron, I'm sorry, it doesn't appear he's on the call right now, but
But I am, I'll see that it gets done.
okay, great. And then there's just some stumps that I think I've sent a list to Ron in the past about. I was gonna ask him today whether or not if he's waiting till he gets other tree work to do, or when they may be on a list or a schedule to be ground out. I've just noticed there's several around, a couple on Sutherland Farm Drive and a few other places, and I think it would look better if those were, ground out, maybe even sodded over so that, or seeded over so that, it looks good. So, I think that's all the comments I had, for today. And just so you know, I'm monitoring the tree planting. I'll be out there when they do plant the trees. And I've been having to reflag a lot of the planting locations because the mowers are, tend to remove the flags in the that are especially along Sutherland Farm Drive. So we'll just keep doing that until they get the trees planted. So I think that's all, Lee.
Thank you, Andrew.
Lee,
Yes, sir.
I noticed on Honey Creek Drive, a couple of birch trees with red ribbons around them.
I think Quick Drive.
Maybe that's a 7509 Hunting Creek Drive, right by
Riding Ridge.
Riding Ridge, right?
These are in the median.
In the median.
I don't know anything about that.
Me neither.
I mean, they're closer to 42 than Riding Ridge.
Okay.
Yeah, I noticed that the other day, I guess yesterday when I was driving up, that there were ribbons around it, and I wondered about that too.
There's just one, isn't there just one? Is there one or two river birches there that you're talking about?
There are two.
Huh. I was there yesterday, but I didn't notice that. Okay. I don't know. That might be a Ron question, or unless the mayor knows.
Not.
The next item is the list of problem trees that we're aware of. We discussed the first one already, which is the one on Gunpowder. The next item is that 7509 Hunting Creek Drive, and that is right next to the entrance to Riding Ridge. And actually, there's 3 trees up there that were declared hazardous. And the owner received a letter on March 23rd. He called me that very day. He's within his 45 days to remediate time zone. He's about halfway through there. The trees are marked with orangish or red paint. Andrew marked them, and then Andrew observed, and I observed that a couple of those trees also have bands on them now of cloth. And Andrew, you were thinking that those were from limb walker?
Yeah, I noticed they had purple, a couple of those trees have purple marking ribbon around the trunks. And I've noted in the past that seems to be what limb walkers uses to identify trees when they have clients with, tree issues. So I'm wondering if that gentleman didn't have limb walkers out to look at the trees. And so we know that at least one of the 3 trees he was sent a letter about has been marked by, I think, limb walkers. So I'm hopeful that maybe he's going to take action on removing some trees here before his 45 days are out. We'll have to see.
Okay. The next one I actually have an update on, that's in the Breakers. Property number 30 belongs to the Breakers. this was brought, the tree, which is a big dead elm, which backs up against Innisbrook property, was brought to our attention in January. And then the board acted in February to have it removed. I checked with the gentleman who originally brought the problem to our attention just about an hour ago. He said there's been no action on that tree whatsoever. And he thinks that the builder is trying to delay till he sells the property so he can stick the new property owner with a removal bill rather than pay it himself. But this notice is long out. The builder is beyond this 45 days, and really the next action calls for posting on the property.
That tree is extremely hazardous, in my opinion. It too has been dead for, I think, since last summer, and it's dropping branches left and right, big branches on this gentleman's property. And, you know, it's really hazardous.
We hope that Rick can follow up with another letter and a posting on the property that tree needs to be taken down immediately. In other words, we're going to be involved in a fining situation and a dangerous situation. Actually, the property owner that first reported it said during this last big windstorm we had about a week or so ago, a very large limb fell on this property. It was so big he had to hire somebody to come in and deal with it. He couldn't take care of it himself.
It's fine now.
The other issue with that tree is not only is it dead, but it's had over 50% or more of its root system destroyed by the grading and development of the lot on the breaker's side. So it's in danger of falling as well as just branches breaking off. So I would really encourage some action be taken as soon as possible with that tree.
Can we make a motion to find them? That guy, the builder who owns the lot?
I think that's a good idea.
You know who it is? It's Stephanie Gillazan. She owns all those lots. Unless somebody's bought it.
I think the builders bought that lot. I reported that earlier. I don't recall his name right now, and I don't want to go dig it out of the file, but the builder's been identified, and the proper address was presented to Rick, and I'm pretty sure Rick did send a letter.
Well, with what everything's been said, I think we need to make a fine. I mean, we're not getting any action this way we're going, so hopefully this would
Get his attention.
Yeah, we need to put some teeth into it. That's a really,
it's a very dangerous situation. And we keep having these big storms, as you all know, a couple times a month with these possibilities of 60-mile-an-hour straight line winds and so forth. And it's just not a good situation. It's not a safe situation.
Okay, Connie, you gonna make the motion? I think we can find out with hearing everything about the danger and the hazard and everything going on. I make a motion we fine $500.
I second.
All in favor, say aye.
Uh,
Aye. And I note that Sylvia's with us right now. Thank you, Sylvia. Nice to see you.
did you get everybody's vote, Lee?
Say that again, Herb.
Did you get everybody's vote?
I'm not understanding. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Everybody voted yes. My knowledge.
Okay.
Yes. And Linda will put it in the notes. Thank you. So the next thing would be for code enforcement to send a notice to the builder that he's being fined $500 payable to the city of Prospect immediately. And he still has to take out the tree.
Does he have another time limit to take that tree out, or
Well, normally it's 45 days.
25?
45. There's
Well,
a,
I know the first was 45, but
Right.
if he's sent a letter fining him, how long does he have to take now I mean, what's he told, as far as removing it? That's what we want him to do.
Yeah, how about 10 days?
That's great.
I think that's a good idea. So we'll state that the property owner, which is a builder, has 10 days to take out the tree. Otherwise, he'll be fined $500. Is that the consensus?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, that's very good. Okay, we'll let that stand. These other two items are about Monument Court and Lonely Creek Drive are quite recent. I don't think there's any need to cover those right now. But I do have some other items of interest that are yes and no. The first item after the trees is Harry Hardin Memorial Tree. Now, there is no such tree, and we haven't discussed it before. But Todd Eberly donated $100 to the Forestation Board in memory of Harry Hardin. Harry was one of the real founders and creators of the Forestation Board and was a significant contributor. He's also given some very nice trees to the city. Unfortunately, just died recently. And that's why Todd made that donation. And my thought was this: we're going to be doing planting maybe in the fall. And $100 doesn't cover the cost of a tree, but it would certainly cover the cost of a nice plaque memorializing Harry's contributions. So I'm suggesting that for our fall planting program, we designate one of the trees as a Harry Hardin Memorial Tree and spend Todd's donation to purchase an appropriate plaque. The only other comment I add was that such trees should be located where people would see it somewhere, as many people as possible. Any other comments or?
Can we put something on the plaque that designates what he did for us?
Yeah, I think that's quite possible, especially if we can get a pretty good sized plaque for $100.
What does he have? Does he have family here?
He has a couple of sons that one of which lives in Lexington, and I'm sure we could get in contact with his one son. I talked with his son at the viewing just a couple weeks ago.
Well, we have parks here that maybe get their input a little bit about, where it's Harris Creek Park or Little Honey Creek Park.
We would certainly ask them.
You may or may not know that Harry donated money for the stone stairway at Putney Pond and Woodlands, the Fox Valley Drive entrance. I don't know that is the heaviest used entrance, but he also loved Putney Pond. So,
Okay.
just a thought.
We'll give it some thought, but it's certainly with Todd's contributions and Harry's many contributions, we can put a tree in with a plaque.
Good idea.
Okay. And on that subject, money has been donated for 2 trees recognizing Linda Wardell's contributions to the park. And those trees would be commemorative trees and probably located in the parks somewhere in
I
the
know.
fall planning program.
I think Andrea and I've had a little bit of communication about that. For those of you that don't know, the Parks Committee has donated money in memory of my mother, and who died in November, and Kevin's mother, who died in December of last year. So, very
That's-
Right. We were going to talk more about that in the fall,
In the
right?
fall,
Get
yeah.
closer
Yes.
to fall. Yeah.
And
Right.
when we can make the wording, Linda, whatever you feel is appropriate for two different trees, two different
Sure.
types.
I'll talk to other family members and
And,
Yes,
you know,
sure.
and would certainly want your significant input on the locations.
Thank you, Linda.
thank you.
And just as a note, I didn't put on the agenda, I received a call just yesterday from a gentleman who lives in Shadwell or along Shadwell. He wanted to know about canopy trees and how he could get involved in securing a canopy tree. And that would then be a fall planting tree also. So even without more publicity, we have at least maybe one tree for the fall canopy program. Okay. Okay. Next item I had on the agenda was the budget proposed for next year. I did send the numbers not only into the city, but all the board members. I don't know if anyone, either the mayor or John Carter or any board member or anybody else wants to comment on those.
I'll just say that it's going in the proposed budget that I will submit.
All those numbers got put in the budget.
Okay, very good. Okay, very, very good. The next item was a newspaper article or newsletter article. And Linda and Connie have worked on one and sent it out. Very nice article.
Oh, Linda did all the heavy lifting.
It was a team effort. I couldn't have finished it off without Connie, and it deals primarily with the canopy program and planting. And I'd like to suggest a topic for the next article that I already started working on. And I'd like to go and explain to the community why Tree City USA is important and what we do to earn that designation.
Oh, that's great.
Very good.
It's a great
Okay.
idea.
That's a great article. Great
We
article.
should have it. We should have an article in every newsletter.
Well, that's kind of where I'm going. So if I can kind of get a list of topics developed, that we can always have some more suited to fall and spring where there's likely to be planting, but other kinds of care and just, tree trivia, what have you, throughout the year.
It'd be nice if we
Great
could
idea.
have another article about volcano mulching, because people are still doing it.
Yep. Put it on the list. We can work on it.
Very good. And then we can ask Ron to put the article you have prepared, you jointly have prepared, into the next newsletter.
Yeah, I'll send it to Ron now that I've had feedback from everybody.
Okay, very good. Very, very good. Another item that's not on the agenda, and it's a tree item. We had sent a letter, the Forestation Board and Rick Wilson had sent a letter to the property owner at 6716 Deep Creek Drive, which is actually pretty much opposite the park, Colleague Park. And the owner is disputing as to whether she, which happens to be she, owns the tree or a neighbor, and has requested a survey. And Linda Knox tried to use the logic to determine the property lines, but the location is quite close to the property line. You want to comment on that, Linda?
Yes, if you look at the logic, it is not, it looks like it could be the neighbors. If you just stand there and look at the tree and the two properties, it almost looks like it could be shared. From what Ron says, logic, and Herb said the same thing, is not an absolute guide to ownership. So it would appear that we probably do need a survey to be absolutely sure of the ownership.
Yeah, it's I designed a lot of additions for people, and it was just mandatory they get a survey, because it's so critical. It's, it'd be very embarrassing if we, try and enforce something and it's not somebody's property. So, I mean, and we do have a legal deep recourse with having certified professional surveyors determine that. So I know it's a cost, but it's a smart cost.
Well,
in my opinion.
If that tree was in the middle of the lot, there wouldn't be any question because it's so close. I think we need to be sure.
is there any way we can deflect the cost? I mean, can't the two homeowners share that cost?
No, I'm okay. I got an opinion about that. I had that personal situation. As the city has a responsibility, they created this board, and they have a responsibility to do it right. Well, if we want to make sure it's done right, the city, the city has the resources. I don't think that should be a property owner, but that's just my opinion.
So along those lines, we can request that the city, the mayor, organize a survey of the 6716 property, determine which property it actually is where the tree is located, so follow-up can be made. Okay, Mr. Mayor?
I'm not saying anything.
Okay,
I'm gonna go have a cup of coffee.
that's often a good one. Okay. Another significant item is our tree plan, which is due for submission by the last Friday in April. Mainly, it's a listing of our goals for the coming year. I sent these out, my ideas along with input from all board members as to what should be included to the board. And if anybody has any additional comments or wants to say that let's go with what was sent out, we're fine. We'll get it typed up and prepared and integrated into the existing overall plan and submit it for council approval.
I think the original version plus the few updates that were added, I think works pretty well.
Okay, anybody else?
No, I agree with Linda.
I do too.
Okay. Okay. So we have a consensus on that. And I think we're coming pretty much to the end of the agenda.
I have one item.
I have
Yes,
one
sir,
item.
Herb. Please.
When the trees get planted, I guess Friday we're talking about, we really need to have some photos that could possibly be put in a newsletter.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, I was thinking that too, Herb.
you think you'd be able to, or you want one of us to?
I
Or a couple.
think I should be able to, yes. I was thinking I would try to get a few photos. But I mean, if one of you
Great.
wants to take photos also, that's fine too, But I mean, I'll be out there checking on them, so I can take,
Yeah.
I should be able to get some, no problem.
Great, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Good suggestion and good for you to do it, Andrea. Linda, you had something too.
We had talked about the date for Arborfest in the fall.
Yes.
I said I would talk to the library people about when they were going to do their book sale in the fall. They have not established a date for the fall sale, but and I said typically it's the end. If we were to do it on October 29th, that probably would work really well for them. The other option would be the 22nd.
Any comment from anybody?
Did you say the 27th?
The 22nd would be one option. I think the library people, and particularly Sandra Leonard would prefer the 29th if possible for us.
I think those dates look good.
Which day will be the warmest?
No guarantees on anything, but I think it's helpful when we have an event with more going on. And I think when we were able to have the book sale and Arborfest at the same time, was good for everybody.
Right,
Oh,
I think
yeah,
it's-
definitely.
And I keep thinking that as this new park is being built in Little Hunting Creek Park, that maybe additional activities could be included in the future that would bring in even more people to all the events.
I don't know, maybe John Carter can respond to this because the mayor's not present right now. But at the March Parks Committee meeting, Mayor Evans talked about trying to bring back the fall festival
Mhm.
as well, where there might be pumpkin painting and kids in
Right.
costume and that sort of thing. That would argue for the 29th date because that would be closer to
Closer to
Halloween.
Right.
And I don't know, John, if any decisions or discussion has been made. of that.
Decision, I know there's a desire there to do that. But budgeting wise, it really wasn't something that's been added. Doesn't mean we couldn't do it, I don't think, though.
I think we're gonna have to wait for COVID.
Well, we could certainly, from the Forestation Board, defer the timing for a month till there's further resolution. You know, we could mark our personal calendars for both dates and see what develops. Anybody have a different suggestion?
That's probably smart. The bids on the improvements at Little Hunting Creek are due the 28th of this month. So if we're, knock on wood, successful and we got a good bid, we might roughly have a schedule from the contractor. Where the construction would be in late October.
Well, then that just argues for Linda's date again. That's a good idea. Put it off.
Yeah, and I don't think that's a problem with the library people either, that they're not totally committed. So if we just all wait a little while, I think it's fine.
And you could tell them we're flexible, I think, Linda. You work in the library as a volunteer. Right?
Yeah, and next time I see Sandra Leonard, I'll mention to her that, we're pretty flexible and we understand she has a personal preference that would make the 29th better for her, but she's more than willing to make the 22nd work too, if that's the only date that works for us. So it'll be coordinated as needed once we finally agree on a date. And I think waiting to see how the rest of some of the latest COVID situation plays out makes a lot of sense.
Okay.
Just for the heck of it, what date is Halloween?
I think it's Monday night after that Saturday. So if it's the 29th, then it would be, the 31st is Monday.
We have a full schedule for July 4th, so I'm hoping COVID doesn't disrupt that.
That's true.
I hope not.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right, Linda, that Halloween's the 31st.
And I think we've done it right before Halloween in the past, that weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we got a plan.
Okay, anything else from anybody?
You gonna rain any more today?
Aren't they saying storms later?
Absolutely.
Do you want me to start keeping track of the amount of rainfall we're getting, or is it too early still?
Why don't you wait? I mean, you can if you want, or, let's wait till we get the trees planted, certainly, but maybe after the trees go in, Connie, and we can start
Okay,
on the tree.
great.
If you can do that, that'd be helpful, because Prospect gets to, every part of the city gets different amounts, every time it rains.
That's true.
I think it's good to reduce the stress on Connie. Keep track of water. Rainfall is really
Well,
tough.
that way she has to empty her rain gauge, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
I have fish swimming around in it.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
Okay, next meeting, as the second Tuesday would be May 10th. And right now, we can plan to do that on WebEx. Sylvia likes to participate by WebEx, and maybe we can all participate by WebEx.
That's helpful for me too, whenever we can do that. I agree with
And,
Cynthia.
you know, it seems to work just as well as getting together, actually.
Yeah.
We're all getting experience in Zooming.
Yeah, you don't even have to wear pants at these meetings.
There you go.
Too much information.
Please no demonstration.
I'm gone.
Okay, we have motion to adjourn. A second,
Seconded.
right? All in favor?
I.
Aye, we're done. Meeting is adjourned. Thanks to everybody. And Linda Wardell, so thanks for sitting in and contributing to our meeting.
Yes, thanks, Linda.